Hi guys, I am back finally with a video that's going to be kind of a wrap up and kind of a catch up, and yeah, not really sure what to call this. It's kind of a wrap up because I don't want to talk about every single book that I've read since my last one. What was that, like 6 weeks ago or something? But I have a couple of books that I really liked that I have read in that time that I want to talk about. My personal reading has really just all but disappeared because this semester is lots of work. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. So as a kind of result, because I'm reading so much and so intensely during the kind of work day in the evenings, when I want to kind of zone out, I'm mostly just reading really fluffy books. So I read the first 3 books in Deanna Rayburn's Lady Julia Gray Mysteries series, which is this historical mystery series that's actually kind of anachronistic, and I have to stop critiquing the books, but they're just they're entertaining and fun. And so if you're looking for something that's just kind of fluffy and fun, then check those out maybe, but I don't really want to talk about them more than that. And then most of what else I've been completing is school books, and I don't want to do a whole wrap up of just school books. So I'm going to talk about 3 books that I've read since February 1st, basically, that I really liked. 2 of them are school books, and one of them is one that I managed to finish before things really got crazy. Speaking of things getting crazy, this semester has been a lot more work than last semester. I was kind of hoping that I'd be able to do 2 videos a month, which is basically what I did last semester. That's how it worked out. If you count the videos that I did, they weren't on a regular schedule, but it sort of ended up being something like that. But I do not have the time. I'm currently on spring break, which is the only reason that I'm filming this and have any hope of getting it uploaded. I probably could force it, but I just don't want to. I am really enjoying my semester. I'm enjoying the classes individually, but I'm taking 4 graduate level classes, which is a lot. 3 is considered full-time. So this is taking 20 undergraduate hours or something. It's just so much work. Like I said, I'm enjoying the work, but it's really relentless, and I just you can't stop. That's how my semester's going, if you were wondering. I know several of you guys have commented that you really liked my grad school vlog, and so I think I'm gonna do that this week for spring break. I also have another video that I filmed a couple of weeks ago and just have not had the chance to finish editing, and I'm also gonna try to finish that and post that a little bit later. So there'll be some new content from me kind of in a little burst, and then I'm just not gonna even try to do anything else with my channel until after this semester ends. This is, from what I've heard, the busiest semester in the entire program, and so once the summer hits, I should be able to get back onto a regular schedule and start doing things. I have all of these video ideas that I just have not had the time to follow through with because I want to do them well, and so I'd rather make no videos than make a bunch of bad videos. Yeah. So if you want to kind of keep up with me and see how my semester's going, I am on Instagram and Twitter, and you can also follow my reading on Goodreads. The links are in the description-y thing. So that's the kind of life update stuff. That's what I've been doing with my life. So the wrap up. I'm probably not going to spend a million minutes on this, but that's okay. The first book I want to talk about is one that I got from the library and it had to go back, and that is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I think they're making a movie out of this, which is why I picked it up initially, and I had heard a couple of people talking about it recently, and it just sounded really interesting, and I really loved it. I think I gave it 5 stars, maybe 4.5. It's about this young woman. Her name is Eleanor Oliphant, and she is fine. She has her routine, she has her kind of set ways, and she thinks everything is totally okay. And then she starts to get tangled up in the lives of other people, and you realize that she's not fine. She's actually really incredibly lonely and depressed. And through meeting this new guy at her job named Raymond, they come into contact with an old man who has a heart attack and collapses, and they help him, and then they get kind of drawn into his life and the life of his family. And Raymond is also just a really sweet cinnamon roll, and Eleanor meets his mother, and she just starts to make friends and be drawn into community in a way that she hadn't been for a long time. And it was just such a beautiful story. The story is told from Eleanor's perspective, and I think that the author, Gail Honeyman, who I did not mention, she does a fantastic job of both showing us Eleanor's perspective from the first person and also writing it in such a way that we know how wrong Eleanor is. So a lot of times she'll say something and you're like, yeah, that's not actually a thing. I don't believe you. It's not that she's lying to us, it's that she is either lying to herself or she just like doesn't see. And so anyway, it was just a really beautiful book about the value of community, how everybody needs people around them. It was super sweet and just really, really lovely. I highly recommend it. And honestly, I just wanted to do this video so I could talk about that one. I have 2 other books. These are ones that I read for school. One's a classic that people might not have heard about that I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to just bring awareness to the fact of its existence. And then the other one is a contemporary book that I also thought was really interesting and also just kind of want to like bring awareness to the fact of its existence. So the first one, I'm just kind of going in chronological order, honestly, was Charles Brockden Brown's Edgar Huntley. If you watched my last grad school vlog, I was reading this during that, but I don't think I finished it or talked about it, and this was really interesting. It's an American Gothic novel, so if you're familiar with British Gothic fiction from like the late 1700s or early 1800s, this is the American version of that, and it is like really distinctly and weirdly American. It is about a guy named Edgar Huntley, and he is really upset about the murder of his close friend, and nobody knows like why the friend was killed. And he's rambling around at night being depressed, and he comes to this tree where his friend was maybe found, and there's this guy there digging a hole, and he's like, what, this is weird. And so he kind of like watches the guy because he wonders like, oh no, maybe he's the murderer or something, and realizes that the guy is sleepwalking and he wants to figure out who he is. So he follows him, and eventually he figures out who he is, and we learn his story, and then stuff just kind of starts to get crazy. It's hard to explain the plot without spoiling it, but basically like you get about halfway through the book and then it just like takes a huge swing and you're like, what just happened? Like, we're fighting panthers. I think the story, what really kind of got me interested in it is not how crazy it was, because it's wild, but the way it ended was very unexpected, and it changed the way you see the entire rest of the book. And it becomes very much a contemplation of like what makes someone mentally ill. It's very interesting. So you're like, this is wild and crazy and all over the place and I don't understand, and then you read the ending and you're like, oh, this is asking some really like severe questions, and it has some slightly terrifying like implications for some of the things that happen in the story. So I just thought that like that twist at the end did a really good job. So if you like Gothic fiction, or you just want to read something that's old and not, you know, the standard, this is around, it's in print, and it was really interesting. The other book that I want to talk about is Let Me Tell You by Paul Griffiths. This was published by like an indie press, and it's very much a like experimental sort of novel. What Griffiths did is he tells Ophelia's backstory from Hamlet using only the words that she speaks in the play. And it sounds kind of gimmicky, but it's actually really beautiful. Griffiths is also a musician and a music theorist. I don't know if he's actually a musician, but he writes about music. And this is very much like kind of a variations on a theme sort of thing, where he is constantly reusing the same words to look at different things. So it's definitely like kind of a little bit different, because it is limited to the words that Ophelia uses. So for instance, when she talks about her mother, she can't use the word mother because she doesn't use the word mother in the play. And but it's about her finding her voice despite the restrictions that are placed on her. And I think that Griffiths does a good job of using the kind of potentially gimmicky thing of only using the words that she speaks in the play to add weight to the greater meaning of the things that he is exploring. And so for Ophelia, it becomes a question of of whether she has the power to choose her own fate or whether she's just kind of stuck being in a play. I think it was just like really good. Also, it's super short. It was a pretty quick read. And the prose is really lovely, and the way that it's told is really great. It's not jarring or weird or anything. So I wanted to talk about that because it's just like a really interesting book, a really interesting reading experience, and especially if you like Hamlet, I would recommend maybe checking it out. So those are a couple of the books that I've been reading recently. I am not really in the middle of anything right now. I was sort of technically in the middle of some books, but I haven't touched them in a couple of weeks, so like I said, I have a couple of videos slated for the future, and then after those two, it'll be two. I'll probably go quiet for about 6 weeks, and then I'll be back in the middle of May for sure with updates and fun things and all the exciting stuff. So hang in there, and things will get more interesting. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.